Hey, I'm Kayla, and this is Nico, and we are going to have an open conversation as a husband and wife who work together in the wedding industry about how we feel about timelines. We are dressed in our normal, regular, everyday clothes, and we are here just to be us and really just have a raw conversation about how we each feel about timelines on your wedding day.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Backyard talk here.
Backyard talk. I like that. Backyard talk.
So we're going to talk about timelines. So what's your perfect timeline in terms of weddings?
I feel like timelines could make or break a wedding day because, like, if your timeline is falling behind, like, then you're gonna feel stressed. All your guests are gonna feel stressed. Like, like, compared to like the day going completely smooth and everything's supposed to go the way it's supposed to go, and it's like your dream day. People aren't stressed out, and it's fun. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like timelines are definitely important, but also I feel like we shouldn't, be so strict in terms of the timeline just because sometimes that can create the stress and stuff. But being able to plan ahead, I think, is definitely essential. So you're not, falling behind and feeling like you have to catch up on your timeline. So definitely thinking about it and doing the timeline is great. But I also think that having some flexibility
Yeah,
is important. So you're not so just, stuck to this timeline and be like, okay, now we're 2 minutes behind and you're stressing out the mom of the bride or
yeah,
the bride stressing out because we're 5 minutes behind. And it's okay if we are behind. We're gonna make up that time somewhere, but being able to have that relaxed time is definitely helps when you have a great timeline, especially at the beginning of the day. I feel like what we've experienced is like a lot of times people don't plan like for their getting ready process to take as long as it's going to take, or maybe makeup and hair artists don't estimate the time properly. And they say, well, we can do, this amount of people in this time, when in reality, with all the moving parts of a wedding, it might take a little bit longer and maybe we can
yeah.
start a little bit earlier. So that's the one thing that we've seen like throws a little things off, because then we're kind of, and it's not our fault that we're kind of starting photos a little bit later just because the makeup and hair process has taken longer. And it's kind of like a little bit frustrating on our end because we don't really have control over that. Like we don't have control over how fast other people move and other vendors do their work. So then we're able to take it from there. So I think definitely being aware of the hair and makeup process needs to like a lot more time than a lot of times we expect, just because we leave things behind sometimes. There's dresses that need to be picked up. There's things that people leave
That need to be
behind.
picked up. Yeah. Hopefully, we don't have any dresses that need to be picked
Or
up.
shoes. There's always something. There's always a little something that got left behind or
Yeah.
that we need to pick up, or that little detail that we need to grab from the nightstand.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna back you up like a few steps. You were talking about how, like having a good timeline really, really helps. And there's coordinators that we worked with and there's planners that we work with, and they have it like down to the minute that things need to happen. I feel like as much as I love planners and I love coordinators and I appreciate them, but I almost feel like that's like putting a failure already on your wedding day because like it's to the minute. It's like, okay, we're gonna bustle the dress at 5:23. And it's like, okay, that's like really unrealistic because like as you were saying, there's so many like different moving parts in a wedding day and things that happen that I know wedding planners and I know that coordinators know, but it's like there's so many other things that just happen. I feel like having the timeline just have that wiggle room, like you were saying. I know when we do our timelines for people for the photos and for the DJ portion, we do it in like 30-minute increments compared to like by the minute. So then if we do catch up on that time, it gives us more time to either create or more time for the couple to take a breath and really enjoy their day, or vice versa for the planners and the coordinators. They're like, okay, it's, we could fit something else in that time.
yeah, I think definitely having some sort of timeline is great, because a lot of the times people maybe go on the completely other side of the spectrum and be like, no, we don't want a timeline. We don't want anything. We just want to
Yeah.
go by the, fly by the seat of our pants, or however the saying goes.
I think it's
And
seat.
and that can be a little bit harder because then you're putting a lot of different stresses on yourself of like when things are happening. So most of the time, most of our brides know that timelines are important and they
Yeah.
appreciate, all of the work that we put into the timeline and kind of working it backwards from the ceremony
Yeah.
to the getting ready and when they want to finish the day. And a lot of the times our timelines, I think, we work on like the ceremony time.
Yeah.
And, like,
yeah,
where
that's
they're
like when we
starting.
start the timeline. It's like, okay, when's your ceremony? And then the next question is when are you gonna start getting your hair and makeup done? And then when is your grand entrance? Those are like the 3 questions that we need to like fill out. Oh, and the 4th question is, are you doing a first look or not?
Yeah, all of those.
I feel like there's so many photos that need to happen. So it's almost like we're in control of the day, like almost too much. We were like having this conversation a little bit more. There's a new trend coming along where photographers aren't so much in control of the day and things are just happening as they should happen. And that's our dog barking in the background.
Milo!
My.
So you were talking about photographers being really in control of the day.
Yeah, I almost feel like the whole day is just photos, like instead of like the photographer being more like a fly on the wall and capturing just what is happening. It's okay, we're gonna get ready photos. Then we're gonna be doing detail photos. Then we're doing the first look. Then it's like, it's just all of the things that are happening that like a photographer is like doing, which I love and I think it's great. But at the same time, I feel like there's so much more that needs to be happening during a wedding other than getting this timeline done. Or like, what do you think?
That's true. I feel like maybe sometimes photographers are a little bit stressed on like getting all of the images that the couple will want.
I agree.
Later on, and then be like, oh, well, did we get photos of, all of the wedding party, or did we get photos of this, which we always do, but it takes time to gather all of the wedding party together and do those formal photos or those fun photos with the wedding party.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, could you be spending some more quality time with them?
Yeah, and having more of that undocumented, like the posed, like that like
candid moments.
Yes.
Like maybe doing an activity with them while there's a photographer in the background.
Yeah.
Doing photos, but not necessarily maybe so posed, but more of like a candid style. You can still get, a few of the wedding party together, but then kind of move on quickly to what's next and enjoy those times together.
I think that would be cool too. I think it'd be cool to like do a wedding that's like, one of each, where it's like, okay, a strict timeline, and then like one that is like, there's like the basic like timeline, right? Like, okay, we're gonna be doing the getting ready first look and ceremony instead of like all these little things that need to happen in between. It'd be kind of like interesting to see the difference and see, like just be like that. I guess you were also like talking about at the beginning too about the hair and makeup. I feel super strongly about hair and makeup and the timeline of hair and makeup because, as you were saying before, I feel super strongly about having a timeline at the beginning of the day, even before your photographer shows up. Your hair and makeup artist should have like a super realistic time of how long it's going to take them to do hair and makeup on either your whole bridal party or the bride, like you as the bride. Like, I know you have trials. If you don't have a trial, make sure you have a trial. And like, if that trial takes them an hour and a half, an hour, however long that's going to take, add another 30 minutes to that, because more time on your day is going to be better than anything. The other thing that I feel about this too is, as photographers, we need you as the bride, and we need whoever's going to help you get your dress like on to be done before you and like the mother of the bride or whoever's going to be, because like we don't need them until like later,
Yeah, usually I think they think so the makeup is more fresh for them, but at the same time we're going to be starting portraits with them first. So we like to tell people the person that's going to help you with your dress and the bride needs to be done, so we can get a kickstart on those portraits. Whether you're going to do a first look or not, having that extra time is really, really crucial. And I feel like sometimes people do underestimate the time that it takes early in the day, because maybe they're like, oh, well, it's still early, ceremony is until 4 or 5, so we are good. But in reality, that puts us all that pressure on us to be able to tackle that and then try to catch up within all of the timeline. So starting early definitely helps. A lot
I feel
of
like
people
starting
do expect
at like
that.
8 a.m. I know that's like so early for your wedding day, But like starting at 8 a.m. Like
Sometimes people have even heard like 7 a.m. if
Yeah.
they have like larger wedding parties.
Yep.
Considering how much help like the makeup and hair artist may have as well, because if they're alone, they're of course they're going to take longer, but if they have a team of people, maybe they can do it a little bit quicker.
I also think that the hair and makeup artist, like if you have two different hair and makeup, like a hair and makeup artist or a hair artist and a makeup, they should be communicating with your photographer. And then they should also be communicating with like your coordinator or planner if you have one. Like they know how long it's going to take them to do whatever they need to do for hair and makeup. And then if they don't communicate, I feel like us as photographers, we need to reach out to them because it's only going to make the day better for you as a bride.
Yeah, definitely communication.
You were saying how there's a lot that needs to be done, right? And like the hair and makeup artists, if they're falling behind and you think that 8 a.m. is like super early, but like what is everything that has to be done before the ceremony? Because if you have a ceremony at, let's say 4 or 5, that is like a lot of time. So it's like, why do people need to start that early? Like, I know why, but like...
Yeah, it feels like way too early sometimes, but that getting ready process really takes quite a while because usually, I mean, if it's just one person, maybe for an elopement, it can be a little different, but if it's 5, 6, 7, 8 different ladies getting ready, between grandmas and moms and
mother,
bridesmaids,
the
they can be up to like 10, 12 sometimes.
And if each one takes an hour just at that to do makeup and hair.
And they're getting ready, in the same area. So they have to share the space. They can't get all ready at the same time.
Yeah.
And then we have, things like the first look. If you want to do like
putting
a first
on
look
a dress
with your bridesmaids or with your parents, putting on all those like jewelry pieces and shoes and dress. That takes a lot longer than you think.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Because it's not like just putting like a...
As silly as this might be, but I feel like you should have a practice run with whoever is going to be helping you in your dress before your day to see how long it specifically takes you to put on your dress. Because there's so many times that I have brides and I try to help them as much as possible, but they put on their dress and then like something doesn't fit quite right, or there's something that needs to be adjusted that maybe they didn't think about beforehand. So I feel like having a practice run with whoever is going to be putting on that dress with you is going to save you so much time on that day. Like, it's okay to put on your wedding dress the day before your wedding, or, like before your wedding date.
Yeah, even though it feels weird, like you want to save it for that moment. But I think, or like bustling it as well, like making sure of like the buttons and stuff, because it is a different thing. Not everyone, puts on wedding dresses every day. So even for the person helping you, it might be a little bit different whether it's like a zip or buttons. And in that way, you can make that process smooth for you, and then you don't have to stress and worry.
Yeah, because if you put it on, like me being, like a big chested girl, like I have a hard time with a lot of like this area of dresses. And I feel like if you like put on your dress beforehand and make sure all the girls are feeling good and everything looks good before your wedding day, it relieves like a lot of stress. Like I've had brides have like stacks of different types of things to help that area that they're all trying on their wedding day. And I just feel like that could eliminate a lot of stress and a lot of the time if you just do it beforehand. Because all about the photos, like the getting ready photos and like getting on your dress with whoever's helping you, I feel like that's all kind of mock-up photos. Like, because when I go in and take dress photos of like you getting your dress on, it's all like you already have your dress done and we're just like taking those cute candid moments of the dress already on it,
Yeah. So being able to know all of that to get that, and then all of that stuff will move really fast. And especially if you're in Montana, somewhere guests love to arrive really early. We don't really love when guests get to see like the bride, before she walks down the aisle. So we like to hide her at least an hour or so before the ceremony time, so she can be relaxing and enjoying her time, take it all in, and not have to worry about people seeing her during her portraits.
So you could have that big moment, because it's all about that moment. You do all this planning for that moment of you coming down the aisle and everyone, like just seeing you for the first time. So I think, I agree with that. So, what I have seen you do recently as a DJ, which I really appreciate as a photographer, is doing all of the really important things that you need to do, like the first dances, the family dances, the cake cutting, like all back to back. So then it gets, like done earlier. So then you have like the rest of the day. Like, I don't know, why do you do that? Or do you think it needs to be split up, or how do you feel?
Yeah, I like to do a lot of the formalities right away, so then people can enjoy their
Mhm.
reception time and not have to worry about it. And also for the photographers, because
Mhm.
a lot of the times the photographers are only there for
Like
specific
8 to
amount of
9
time.
hours. Yeah.
So even though the party's going to go on longer, we want to make sure that they photograph all those special moments like the father-daughter dance, first dance, all of those special moments that we can photograph there.
So do you try to get all that done before the sunset photos?
It all depends on the time of the year, because in Montana we get such a, in
That's
May,
true.
the sunset's still a little bit early, but then in August, sunset's at 9. So at that point we can definitely get them done beforehand, all of that stuff beforehand, and the photographer can still take them for those sunset portraits. But we understand like the photos are the most important things, and the great lighting is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So if we need to move the father-daughter dance or the first dance till after the portraits, then we can do that, or we can squeeze them in real quick and then let the couple go for.
This is Milo. He's the biggest dog on the block. No, we just adopted him in November, and he's the best like doggy ever, but he's very, very, very protective.
Kayla, I wanted to hear your thoughts on when, there's not a planner or a coordinator or someone helping out with the timeline for the day, the photographer becomes the de facto
The
planner.
de facto. It sounds like I feel like that then lies on me. Like, yes, we give you like a timeline of when the photography should be happening, but I don't know. I want to be creative during that day, and I feel like me having that stress to make sure that your day is flowing correctly is like taken away from my creativity and taken away from moments that are happening on your wedding day that I could be capturing more than stressing about making sure that your dress is bustled or that people are lining up for the grand entrance. I just feel like,
Yeah.
That just takes away from me as a photographer.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, and it's because we care so much, we do a lot of those little things, and I've seen like other people, like they don't. Like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like, I mean, we're the only photographers that like, line someone up for like the grand entrance.
That's true.
Like that's something that other people should be doing, or like,
Or your DJ should be doing.
or like lining up for the ceremony and small things like that. We always help with, but I think having someone designated
Yes.
to
You don't have a coordinator, which is totally fine. Just find those people designated to do that. I think would be really beneficial and helpful for your wedding day. And I also feel like if we're going to be talking about other things that are beneficial to save you on timeline, is after the ceremony, we need to figure out like a space for all of your family to go for family portraits so that they don't all scatter and then we have to herd them like cats. I feel like talking to your planner, coordinator, photographer, whoever that is, to find a designated spot, because no matter what, after the ceremony, there's always family photos afterwards, or bridal party photos, or whatever photos are done afterwards. Finding a designated spot to be like, okay, we're going to meet at the big white fence. Like, we're going to meet. And then that way everyone has an idea like, okay, ceremony's over. I need to go over there. And it gives like the couple like also like a plan to be like, okay, I'm going to sign my marriage license and then I'm going to go over there.
Yeah, because so many emotions, people want to hug you and
yeah, which is so cute, and those photos are amazing too.
So then just preparing a little again for that time, because people are like, well, the ceremony is only going to take 15 minutes or max 30 minutes, and it will take that long, but also plan for the moments afterwards, because it's a lot of you saying hi to like almost all of the guests because they all want to give you a hug, and all of that takes time, as well as getting ready for everyone to take a big group photo and then doing all those other variations, which we do it really fast and really smooth with the family guide. We also want to make sure to give you that time to enjoy those moments and not be like, okay, now we're just going to go right into the family photos. Like, let's get these done.
Yeah.
So like give you time to breathe, enjoy it with your guests. And then we have plenty of time to do the family photos, like going back to like the timeline. And so that's the other thing that we help with the timeline, is that we have those specific names of the specific variations that you and your fiance want
Yes.
of all of the family, and then that way we call them out by name, and then
Yeah.
people can
It's just bam, bam, bam,
quickly
done.
get theirs done and head to the cocktail hour,
Yeah,
head to the
I
reception,
agree.
and really enjoy the day. Because I feel like people after the ceremony really take a breath and they're
Yep.
like, okay, now we can
Party and have fun, which
party,
is
'cause
true,
the
but
serious part is pretty much like done. But even though there's a lot of fun still to go on, I feel like people relax after the ceremony and be
Yep.
like, okay, now we did it, and then now we can go ahead and have fun.
Yep.
And then so that's why we also like to do the formalities of the reception like right away, like the first dance, grand entrance, and that first dance right after the grand entrance, so you can keep that attention on you, do that first dance, and then do dinner afterwards is what I
Yeah.
like to recommend, and the trend that we've been seeing. So we can do all those formalities and then just party along with your guests, friends, and enjoy the rest of the night.
Yeah, I think we could also post in the link below if you are wanting a sample timeline of what we do as photographers and DJs for like start to finish of photography and DJ of what a first look timeline would look like and non-first look timeline would be. That could be in the link below so you guys can have that free from us. It's just a basic timeline of like what we kind of could see, like if your ceremony is at I think it's at 4 when I like made it, but
yeah, like a sample timeline of what it would look like with a first look, or if you want to wait till down the aisle and then seeing the difference in timelines, because a lot of the times where we're from in Montana, ceremonies happen between 4 and 6. In other places in the country, New Jersey, sometimes they even have like morning weddings, and then in the nighttime, like it's like a second wedding in the same venue.
Do you remember that wedding that you DJ'd that like you did the ceremony at the very end of the night? Do you remember that? I thought that was like the coolest thing. Like, so do you remember that wedding?
Yeah.
They did all of the stuff, like all the formalities, all of the dancing, all of the cake cutting, all of that stuff beforehand. And then at the end of the night, they did their ceremony. I thought that was just such a really interesting way to do things.
That was a cool one. That was different, yeah.
It was on New Year's?
Maybe. I think so.
And then I think they wanted to do like, I just think that was like a really cool, different timeline. But yes, samples below will be on a link PDF for you to download, for you to have free gift from us.
Yeah. The only last other thing, it would be like, if you wanted to do a send off, during your timeline, whether it's going to be like a sparkler send off or do any of that, or also like a last private dance. Because sometimes a cool thing can be that to get, your planner or your bridal party to help do the lineup for the sparkler send off, the fun send off that you're planning, and then you have a song to do like a private last dance with just you two in the venue enjoying that last
those
song
pictures are
together.
magical. So amazing. And the other thing is let's say you only have your photographer for 8 to 9 hours and you don't necessarily have time for them to stay for that send off. There's also like mock-ups that you can do of that too. So like you could have just your bridal party or just your friends or just your family, your intimate family with you to do the sparkler send-off. So you get those photos or like some sort of send-off that we just pulled those guests that we need to do that. And then it doesn't disrupt like the whole night.
Yeah, that's true. As a DJ, I've seen that work, and also I've seen that kind of be a downer on the reception, just because even though you tell people that it's not the real send off or it's not ending the night, people still have that feeling, and then they end up like packing up and going, or like half of the people end up leaving.
True. Yeah.
So I've struggled with that in the past. I tend to not like it because of that reason, but I do understand with the photos, it being, really important because you do want those photos.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like back and forth, whether you do want to add an extra hour with your photographer or you want to end the party a little bit earlier.
That's true.
Just being completely honest, because
that's what this backyard talk
DJs
is all about.
will probably have some feelings on that, because DJs will know that those mock send-offs always end up being kind of hurt at the end of the party.
If you don't make an announcement, though, that the mock-up is happening, you just know who you have to go grab. No one knows it's happening.
True. If you just grab the wedding party and you don't make it an announcement, that's a great way to kind of navigate that, because then, and there's still like a vibe, then you still get those photos and then people come back. But if everyone leaves the dance floor and everyone comes outside for the reception, it's much harder to
bring them back,
bring that whole energy right back, and there's probably going to be like half of the people when it comes back to like
Yeah, that's true.
the restart of it.
Okay, so recap. We did like half the recap and then we added more to that. Just little nuggets that you have to think about when you're wedding. Okay, so you're really, really good at the recap. You do the
Recap.
Enjoy your wedding day.
So recap. Number 1, having a timeline is essential. Make sure that you have some sort of structure to your day. Number 2 is be flexible with that timeline. So also having that flexibility and wiggle room to make sure that you don't overstretch the schedule. Number 3, make sure that you plan enough time and you estimate the time properly for the hair and makeup process and that preparation process. Make sure that if you want to do a last dance or send off, that you follow all our tips as well. And the best one, make sure you have fun.
Make sure you have fun. Yeah.
I think we did a lot.